potentially the game of the year. Let's talk about potentially the Super Bowl preview. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions taking on the Buffalo Bills. This is arguably one of the biggest games of the 2024 NFL season. This will be, hopefully, one of the best games to watch of Week 15. The Bills are coming off the loss to the LA Rams last week, and the Detroit Lions are coming off yet another win. I believe now that's 11 in a row when they beat down the Green Bay Packers last week. However, we all think Casey, my man, Casey Morgan, texted me during the game, and he's like, hey, do you think the Rams have laid out the blueprint to beat the Buffalo Bills? So we got to ask the question, guys, can the Detroit Lions follow, quote, the blueprint and beat the Buffalo Bills by following the blueprint that the Rams laid out? Now, I'm sure you're scratching your head like, blueprint? They lost 2 games. Blueprint, or sorry, they lost 3 games. Blueprint to beat the Rams? Yes. The blueprint I feel to beat the Rams, and Casey pointed this out to me, is that the Rams were rushing the ball very effectively in the first and halfway through the second quarter in that game versus the Buffalo Bills last week. Since then, during that game, the Buffalo Bills had to bring up the safety to stop the run. When you bring up a safety to stop the run, you single up on the outside, cover 0, as they like to call it, maybe some cover 1, right? And Matthew Stafford looked like a Hall of Famer MVP quarterback that he is, and tore up the Buffalo Bills defense. So basically what the blueprint is to rush early, open up the passing game late, right? However, the Rams could not do it on the defensive side of the ball. They got into a shootout with Josh Allen, and the Buffalo Bills did about pull off the comeback win, right? So when we look at the Detroit Lions right now, guys, they are ranked 2nd in overall offense. That is 2nd just behind the Baltimore Ravens. They are 4th in total passing offense, 4th in rushing offense, right? On the other side, the Buffalo Bills do have the 14th ranked the 14th overall ranked defense, 9th in pass defense and 9th in rush defense, giving up 123 yards per game. So clearly, the Detroit Lions have the firepower. Clearly, the Detroit Lions have the grit, the whatever, biting at the kneecaps, whatever you want to call it. They can follow that blueprint to a T. I think they can because the Detroit Lions like to run the ball anyways. They have that 2-headed monster, Montgomery and Gibbs. Give them the ball over and over and over again and let the boys eat, right? But, the question is, will they be able to rush or stick to rushing the ball early with their very, very injured defense? Will they be able to try not to get out of the game plan to follow the blueprint when the Buffalo Bills are boom, 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 right? Along with the offense, obviously their offense, meaning the Detroit Lions, is one of the best offenses in the league. They have come back down to reality the last 3 weeks or so. They only scored 24 points versus the Colts, 23 points versus the Bears, but then last week versus the Packers, they kind of got back on track and scored 34 points, right? So the real question is not will they follow the blueprint, which I think they will. I think they will run the piss out of the ball versus the 19th ranked rush defense and the Buffalo Bills and be very, very successful at it. The real question is, can their defense contain Josh Allen long enough for the blueprint to start to take effect? That's the real question, because Josh Allen is going to go up and down the field more than likely. The man's balling out. 6 touchdowns last week, 5 touchdowns a week before that. He is balling. So can the Detroit Lions follow the blueprint and beat the Buffalo Bills? First part of the question is yes, I think they will follow the blueprint. That is the Detroit Lions MO. Let's just be honest. Rush the ball, run it down your throat, run it down your throat. Let Jordan Goff kind of nickel and dime it down the field. They are the fourth ranked passing offense, but that is their MO. Control the clock, milk it down the field, nickel and dime it down the field. However, the Buffalo Bills defense is getting better. The Buffalo Bills defense is improving each and every week. The Rams is kind of like a fluke game, right? It was dog days of the NFL season. You're flying from East Coast to West Coast. You're coming off the bye, right? It was just a recipe for disaster. Like you cannot put too much stock into that one game. But the Bills defense overall has been playing very, very well decently the last 5, 6, 7 weeks, right? So I do think that the Detroit Lions will run the ball. I do think the Detroit Lions will control the clock. I do think that the Detroit Lions will do everything in their power to nickel and dime it down the field to keep Josh Allen off of the field. But is it good enough to beat the Buffalo Bills? That is the real question. Is it good enough to beat the Buffalo Bills? And your defense, offenses maybe coming back, maybe people are figuring out the offense. Like, I don't know. That is the question that I'm going to ask you guys. Will the Detroit Lions run the ball, and will they beat the Buffalo Bills? Two-part question. Alpha Rob says Allen will have 5 touchdowns throwing and running. 5 total touchdowns for Josh Allen, says Alpha Rob. Spoiler alert, Alpha Rob is a Buffalo Bills fan. So I just want to put that out there. Casey, Pigskin Punter himself, says Lions are going to steamroll the Bills. The Bills suck against the run game. Casey, you are right. They're 19th ranked rushing the ball, right? They're giving up, 123 yards per game. It is tough. It is tough, right? How can you consistently be giving up that many rushing yards and expect to win? I get it. I see your point. And Alpha Rob says, no, the Bills defense played bad. Never played bad 2 games in a row, though. Alpha Rob likes his Buffalo Bills, and he watches his Buffalo Bills, and you are right. Much like the San Francisco 49ers don't win back-to-back games so far this season, the Buffalo Bills do not play back-to-back bad games. Even when they lost 2 games in a row back in week 4 and week 5, they played horrible against the Ravens. Let's just call a spade. All around horrible game. Was it 41-10? Blow them out. Next week, last second field goal by the Houston Texans to beat the Buffalo Bills was 23-20. Defense played pretty good. So Alpha Rob, you are onto something. And I don't want to be that guy. I gotta want to be that person, but maybe, just maybe, the Buffalo Bills were overlooking the Rams. Maybe the Bills since like week 12, we've been talking about this Bills-Lions matchup. Ever since the Bills beat the Kansas City Chiefs, we've been talking about this matchup. Super Bowl preview. This is the game of the year. This is going to decide all the marbles, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Maybe the Buffalo Bills got in their head a little bit. Maybe they're like, Rams are just the Rams. They suck this year. Right? Alpha Rob says no pass rush was the Buffalo Bills' problem. And it's weird. It's weird that they have no pass rush. Let's just be honest. Number 57 is Espinina and then Von Miller on the other side. First of all, number 57 for the Buffalo Bills, I like him. I like him a lot. I want him on my Kansas City Chiefs. Hell, I bet you 30 other teams in the NFL want him on his team right now. The only one may not that want them might be the Pittsburgh Steelers because they got Highsmith, Preston Smith, and T.J. Watt. They may not just have a spot for him. But number 57 for the Buffalo Bills, he is a dog. He is consistently in people's faces, play after play, game after game, year after year. For the last 2-3 seasons, right? He has been that freaking man. And Von Miller, earn your money, dog. You're out there beating pregnant women. Go out there and beat some quarterbacks. I'm just saying. But yeah, no pass rush has been the Buffalo Bills problem, 100%. John says, absolutely effing noni something. He says, no. Go Lions, big day for Gibbs and Montgomery. Sonic and Knuckles, as they like to call. It's a funny story because my 7-year-old would be 7-7 on Saturday. We're having a Sonic and Knuckles party, right? And we were watching the Lions play the Colts. No, it wasn't. It was the last home game before the Packers. Who did they play? I cannot remember. Was it the Titans? May have been the Titans. Like either way. We were watching on TAV, and they scan to the crowd, and there's somebody dressed as a Sonic character and a Knuckles character, right? And he was on cloud 9. He's like, I like those guys. Go blue team. And I was like, dang it. Now we got a Detroit Lions fan in the house, but it is what it is. Alpha Rob says the Buffalo Bills defense scheme is meant to give up rushing yards, though. to stop big pass plays problems, they cannot stop the pass. See, and Alpha Rob, this is when I have problems with the Buffalo Bills. I have been going back and watching Buffalo Bills film, really breaking it down, really trying to understand their scheme, right? They have definitely been a bend, don't break type of defense for most of the season. However, in the playoffs, if you're going to give up rushing yards, you are going to lose football games. In the playoffs or in the Super Bowl, you are going to give up rushing yards. You're going to lose the game. You can be a bend, don't break defense, right? Whatever. You still need to be able to stop the freaking run. When a team can rush on you, that is so demoralizing. When a team can consistently run the ball down your throat, that is demoralizing. When the Lions, that's right, when I say when the Lions put up 240 some odd yards rushing on the Buffalo Bills on Sunday, it is going to be so demoralizing. It is going to be terrible. You can have a bend, don't break defense. I get it. Secondary backs off a little bit. Instead of playing 7 yards deep, you're playing 11 yards deep, right? And it's like instead of playing cover 2, you're playing cover 5 or 6, right? Or a nickel or like a dime. You are not letting people get you deep, right? You can nickel and dime it down the field all you want, but you got to stop the run. You got to. Laura says Lions going to get that dub, but it's going to be a fight and one heck of a game to watch. And John says, I'm predicting 14 flags in the first quarter, John. In the first quarter, there's going to be a lot of 14 points. Ryan Anderson says all valid points. Well, thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. Casey says also the Bills, excuse me. Casey says also seems the Bills can't play from behind when it matters. That and can't recover from a blocked punt for 6. And I would disagree with you on that case because we saw last week versus the Rams, they did play from behind nearly the whole game. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think they had a lead all that game at all. So they did play from behind a lot in that game. However, most of the time when they're playing from behind, they do lose, right? I believe every game they have won, they have held a lead every game, right? I mean, obviously, but what they've scored first, they didn't have to play from behind. So I can kind of see what you're saying, but at the same time, right? Josh Olson's in the chat again today. What's up, Josh? Becoming an everyday here. I'm glad to see that, man. He says Lions win by 3. We will talk about that. John People says never doubt Stafford. Well, considering Stafford doesn't play for the Lions anymore, I can doubt him. Or I will not doubt him since he doesn't play for the Lions anymore. Mark D says Vaughn has been a big disappointment. And Mark knows all about disappointment because he's a Denver Broncos fan. Von Miller was a Denver Bronco, and he was a big disappointment the whole time in Denver. Let's just be honest. Couldn't ever win a playoff game or a division championship. I'm just saying. Alpha Rob says they played nickel most of the time, which is dumb. But hey, it is what it is. Because they don't want to take Tyron Johnson off of the field in that slot corner. Then make him be better and be a regular corner. Adam Krams in the chat says hello. So you guys are basically saying that the Detroit Lions are going to follow the blueprint. They're going to run the ball. They're going to demoralize the Buffalo Bills, make them feel like little baby ants, and then crush them in the fourth quarter. Is that what I'm getting? Is that what I'm getting?